Longtime viewers of the channel will probably remember this guy. He's one of the do-it-yourself ceramic pottery figures that people made in the 80s. Just went, to some sort of paint-your-own pottery type place and painted up one of these guys. He's totally unlicensed, as you probably can guess. But I've really grown kind of attached to these over the years. I found the first one of these maybe, I don't know, I'd have to look it up, but maybe 10 years ago, maybe more. And since then, I've been on the lookout for them to see if I can make sort of a little mini collection of these ceramic figures. It hasn't been easy, though. I did actually, though, and the reason I'm making this video is find one more of these. So I had, at that point, I had 3, and I found one more to make 4 total of these vintage Jabbas. Now, you may recall also, if you've been watching the channel very long, that I have scanned one of these, 3D scanned it, and turned it into a 3D model that you can download for free on Thingiverse and other websites, and I have done various projects with that 3D model over the years as well. So I thought it might be nice, in honor of having finally found another one of these, to kind of do a recap of all of the ones that I've found and also the projects that I've made with them. So anyway, this is the first one, which is probably my favorite, and he's got a nice shiny glaze on him and just seems well done. These eyes are a little weird, but he's got a nice look to him, I think. On the bottom, he's signed M. Myers. Next one I found was this one, which is easily the most terrifying of any of the figures. It's got these weird hollow dead eyes that I'm not sure what they were going for. They may have wanted to put some like lamps in there or something. Like a lot of these were turned into lamps of some sort. I don't know. But it does have a nice glaze to it. I like that. And on the back, on the bottom, there's nothing in particular to identify it. I'm thinking maybe they were trying to go after the coloration of the vintage Jabba figure, actually, possibly here, and it just sort of turned out like he, was horribly burned. But I don't know. That's part of the appeal of these to me, is that they're all extremely unique, and I kind of like imagining what their backstories are, Next up, the one that I found after this one in, I believe, 2016 is this one right here, which is, unlike the other ones, only painted and not glazed. So this one might not have ever been actually fired in a kiln or anything like that. It might have just been that they took an existing, white plaster thing and just sort of painted on it. But it was interesting that they came with these googly eye type glass eyes that they have apparently somehow painted on the back red, so that they appear kind of red for Jabba, which I thought was interesting. It's also got these holes here, which would have been for Christmas lights that somebody would have put in there. In fact, I've got 1 or 2 broken off there still. On the bottom, this one says, "To Rick from Mom." I can read that. Oh, to Rich, sorry. To Rich from Mom. And I was always kind of interested if this was like something that was given as a gift to a kid who then painted it, or if this was painted by the mom who and then, gave it to the kid. I don't know. It's a little difficult to tell from the paint job. It's kind of neat, a neat-ish paint job. It's not totally messy, but it's not like it's a fantastic job either, so a little hard to say. Next up, we have the one that I just found fairly recently, and that is this one. So this one is like the last one in that it's just painted and not glazed and fired like the first 2 were. But I don't know. It's definitely a nice looking paint job, I guess. Nice looking paint job. It's done neatly. They spent a lot of time trying to get these eyes to look good, I think. Although, they're a little spooky. Diamond-shaped eyes for some reason. I'm not sure what they were going for there. And also the lips makes it look a little bit like he's wearing a lipstick there. But, they seem to have used sort of more advanced techniques than on the previous one. There's some dry brushing apparently on here to give it more depth. So I would say they did a good job. This one here, like the previous one, if we can look on the bottom here. In fact, you can see here that this is the original color of the ceramics. It says, boy, this is hard to read, Bradley, April 1985. And that I was really happy to see that, because none of the other ones that I've had have been dated. And, you know, I knew pretty much where they were, what era they were from and everything, but it's nice to have a concrete date like that. And, you know, it's also another one from Mom. So I'm assuming probably this one for sure the mom painted and then gave to the kid, but who knows. So those are the 4 ceramic figures, the actual vintage ceramic figures that I have. But I'd like to go ahead and quickly run through some of the ones that I've printed based on the 3D model that I created from scanning that first one. So this is the first one that I did, and it's noticeably smaller than the actual vintage figures were, because I only had a printer that could print this large at the time, but I think it came out quite well. This is a nice clean print, and I did it in gold because I've always felt this design kind of reminded me of the idol from Indiana Jones somehow. So, that was the first one I did. And then I did actually come back and make a larger print in gold much later, trying to replicate the actual size of the vintage figure. This is actually a little bit too big, I think, but pretty close. And speaking of gold, I also took this one. This is one I painted to try and look as gold as possible. So it's got some shading and things like that. This one is actually the piggy bank that I made using the original 3D model. I've got a couple of those. There's another one in green. And you can just, you turn this thing with a coin, and inside there's a hollow cavity where you can get your money out. But the money goes in his mouth, obviously. So let's put these down there. And, I guess we have one more gold one. This is a tiny gold one I did as a kind of a test print for a printer. I don't even remember which one it was, but it came out really nice, I thought. I've also done... I don't know where they are. They're so small that they've disappeared, but I did some resin printed ones that are just teensy tiny little ones. And here's another one. And the thing I like about these this model, aside from the associations I have with Jabba and with the vintage figures that they're based on, it also prints really easily. It requires no supports, and it requires no infill. So these are all hollow models. So they don't take a lot of filament to print, and they print quite quickly too. So I've been using this sort of as a quick print, just to, if I need to print something, see if the printer is working properly, just sort of put one of these on. I also have done a number of larger ones. Now, we're not going to be able to get all these on here, I don't think. But some of you who have watched some of my 3D printer reviews may recall I did this one during one of them, which is a transparent, or actually more of a translucent filament that I ran out of the orange here, so I switched over to a yellow and gave me this candy corn look, which is always fun. And let's see, I don't know if I could even get these other ones on the table. There's part of one. This is not even the biggest one. I did reviews of the Creality CR10 S5 and S4. They're very large format 3D printers. So and part of that was trying to do this, just trying to maximize the print size I could get. Finally, I have one here, which I'm definitely not going to be able to get on here. But here, I'll tell you what. I'm going to take this off and slide the sticker on. Oh my lord. Well, you can just sort of barely see part of it. There's his hand. His hand is bigger than this entire tiny one. So anyway, that's what I've been doing with these figures. I almost forgot I did a couple of other things with this 3D model. One was to print a flexible filament version. So this one is nice and soft and rubbery, like a rubber ball almost. And I also used the 3D model to make some Christmas lights for a Christmas video Some of you may recall seeing that. So this is, they were supposed to be red and green, but they came out more like orange and green, but that actually came out appropriate for Jabba, I thought. Let me see if I can plug these in for you. I've got a whole bunch of them here. I'll just put these here, and there we go. I don't know if you can see that with the lights on. Let's go ahead and turn my studio lights off partially. There we go. They're all lighting up nicely. There we are. A nice and cozy way to end this video. I hope you're all staying safe and staying entertained, staying home during this difficult time, and I'll see you again soon.